Joan Wilhelm Röntgen. He discovered X-rays. I don't fucking know the dates right now. It was in the early times. It was after Madame Curie, and that was in the 1880s, 1890s. So past that fucking shit. He was trying to invent something else. Basically a fucking light. A light bulb. With fucking Edison. He's like, oh, I can make it better. Whatever the fuck ever. He was doing something he wasn't supposed to be doing. And he was fucking around with vacuum tubes for some reason. Like, he fucking was wrapping them in foil and running filaments to them. He was putting vacuum tubes inside vacuum tubes and using foil and bouncing. I don't know. Anyway, so it's fucking. It's complicated how it's not complicated how X-rays work, but he made them. He didn't make them. He discovered them in a vacuum chamber with a filament in a vacuum tube. So how he discovered this was he was sitting in his lab, he was singing, fucking eating, doing whatever. His wife was a photographer, a wedding photographer. Like, she took pictures of people getting married. And back then, you had to stand for like 3 minutes to fucking take a picture. So he was just like, oh. And then 3 minutes later, oh, picture's over. Today it's just, boop, doop. Shutter was really slow back then, apparently. So, she did all this work, making these people look like porcelain fucking dolls at their wedding. She stacked all this film up in his little garage, house, basement, where the fuck he was working, his lab. She developed, she had a dark room, chemicals, pictures, old school looking pictures too. Like the ones that you would see like with the edges and all fucked. And then like it was like dark around it, but like the picture was in the center. Anyway, she left all this film stacked up on his table, and she went to a party or she went to go like take more pictures, and Röntgen was unemployed. She was making all the money. He was at home just working on this vacuum tube. He was trying to do something with vacuum tube. I don't know what the hell he was trying to do, but he was trying to do something. And he was just messing around, and for some odd reason he had just a bunch of keys. I don't know, back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, why you just needed keys, but they're just keys. And they weren't like car keys. They were like the old school, like, skeleton-looking keys. Just like a rod with teeth coming down that had notches in them. He just had like a wad of keys. And he just threw it. He was like, oh, here's my wife's film. And just put his keys on top of his wife's film. For no odd reason. And it was stacked. It was sealed. He just was like, oh, it's a little tall stack. I'll just put my keys right here. Well, he started messing around with this vacuum tube, and it was dark. And then he noticed the aluminum started to glow. There would be like, the foil he was using would just illuminate for a second. He's like, what the fuck? You think anything about it? He was like, hey, this is cool. I'm getting closer to figuring out whatever the hell I'm doing. And he went to bed. His wife came home drunk, or sober, or whatever. Developed her pictures. She developed all the pictures, and then was like, Wilhelm, get your ass down here. Wilhelm was like, honey, what's going on? What the hell did you do to my photos? Every single photo, 100 photos there, had an imprint, like a white spot that was an exact shape to the pile of keys that was sitting on the film. He's like, oh. And then he was like, I discovered X-rays. And then he started working with film and this filament that glowed, and he was like, oh my god, doing very early X-rays, getting it better, more power, and controlling voltage output, and all this found the keys. Well, he had to buy his wife this huge ass ring. And it's in every radiation safety book, and it's every science book I've ever seen. It's a picture of his wife's hand with this huge diamond on it. That it's the first X-ray ever. It's his wife's hand. Well, then the next page shows Rankin's hands after like a year, and they'll just melted down, just stubs that look like that. And then he died of radiation poisoning. And his wife died of radiation poisoning. In fact, every fucking scientist who did anything in the 1900s died of radiation poisoning, except Einstein and a couple other fucking people. But if you look at the picture of all the famous Einstein, Tesla, fucking Curie, Rankin, they're all like standing next to each other. Half of those people died of radiation poisoning. Curie died of radon poisoning. She's digging the shit out of the ground. And then that's it. That's it. It's no good.